You guys
were warm.
aren't unprofessional.
No, we're
But
just
you're
hot messes. And
welcome to episode 4 of Boudie and Banter. I am Julian Donaldson, and this is my beautiful wife.
Brittany Donaldson.
And so this time we're rolling happy medium. The first two were more business oriented. The third one was more us oriented. This one's going to be a little more in the middle. More of us in the comfort factor. Again, if you have any questions, concerns, comments, silly videos, whatever it may be, send an email to boudiebanter@gmail.com. And eventually we want to have a segment near the end of each podcast where we kind of sift through that and have any sort of back and forth that might be a thing. So recent conversation going into a lot of photographers, a lot of artists, a lot of lawyers, the professions that this could affect are
Writers.
Yeah, just absurd. AI. What's your take on that?
I don't know yet. I mean, all the movies say not to do AI.
the classic
Snapchat.
Terminator, Skynet fear of them eventually taking us over, and Matrix and all that fun stuff. But more specifically on the artistry side of house, down to college professors not knowing if their students are actually competent or not. But I feel like specifically in
the photography industry.
There
are things that we've had a couple chats going, or that I've been a part of in a couple different photography groups, and some people are loving some of the things that are coming with it. It's
preset renderings.
Yeah, it's making culling images easier. It's making overall editing easier. But at the end of the day, like, I could take so this was, I think, the moment that it made me step back a little bit. There was a video of a guy who he took a full couple session, and he put all of his pictures just from this couple session, ran it through his AI software. It was like, okay, I actually want these to be wedding pictures. I want them to be in this style at this location. And it took every single one of his and made it look like he just shot a wedding.
Yeah.
From start to finish. I mean, including like details of the wedding, and he didn't do that.
Yeah, it's crazy processing power and just the idea of it's a little dumbfounding. Honestly, when we first were talking about it, we were talking about it in the car the other day. I was asking Brittany what she thought about it, and she was like, "Yeah, no, there's these forums, and there's a bunch of different photographers that are back and forward, and there's other ones that are happy about it." And me personally, I think there's the techie nerd side of house. I think there's a lot of utility that can come from it, but ultimately, it's it's horrifying. I feel like in our field specifically, it's a little bit less impactful because a lot of what we do is more the experience, more of the process, more of the back and forward, the confidence, the growth, and there's a certain point where if AI can make it look like whatever it looks like, then why would you do the shoot? And it's like you think the TikTok filters and stuff like that make you look like a anime character or whatever it may be. You're like, oh, that's kind of neat, and then you move on. But a proper session in the studio that can never equate or compare to that.
They also were talking about more like headshots and portraits and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So as a business professional, you can literally take just a couple pictures with your cell phone and use the AI software, and it looks like a professional
thousands
headshot.
And thousands of dollars camera.
And I don't know, like there's so many of us that are just going to be out of work. I really do think that that's going to be a thing, whether it's the photography industry, like writers, there's just so many.
The
I'm
chat,
learning more and more things about it. Yeah, the chat
chat
GPT.
GPT, those interactions, and now even I've been seeing I think it's Snapchat,
Yeah, Snapchat has an AI friend.
and the back and forths there have been hilarious because it's like you're like, hey, buddy, you know where I'm at? And it's like, no. You're like, where's the closest Pizza Hut? And it's like, oh, it's 1.4 miles away. And you're like,
I thought you said you didn't know
yeah,
where I'm at.
how do you know that? It's like, oh, and but a lot of those interactions, and it's definitely one of those things that right now, I don't believe it to be true AI. It's definitely pre-programmed software that alters its answers based off what it hears.
But isn't that the definition of like? Isn't that how AI starts? Like, if it can learn and grow and change according to the person it's talking to and remember things and
But there's
respond.
presets. So a lot of what it comes down to is there are allowances of what it's allowed to say, and based off your personality and answers and back and forth there, it can.
Let's see.
What's that?
Let's see.
Do you have it?
Yeah, I mean it's on every Snapchat.
That's right.
Now,
You use Snapchat all the
just,
time. All right.
What should I say?
I don't know. How much can you learn? Give it a curveball start.
Okay.
I'm so proud of you. So the behind the scenes now that I've been home and I've been doing editing, automation changes, contract revisions, and so many files, and my placeholder word, because I'm an immature man child, is dick butt. And so every time, like, if we do a questionnaire or if we have a new automation, and I want to ensure that it's working the way that it should be, I will submit as if I can submit with one term, it's just dick butt. And if it's first name last name, then it's dick and butt. But as soon as she sees it,
I always know it's you.
she immediately knows it's me. But that was her first. Oh wow.
Well, so this one isn't going to be as accurate or fair because I do have my snap maps on.
Got you.
The only reason I do though is from a story that Tia told me one time where she like
I got lost.
No, well she ended up at a party somewhere and got like way too drunk, and the last snap she sent was to James that was just like, I need you or come get me or something like that.
Yeah.
And then she passed out like in the car around a bunch of people that she didn't know, and James found her based on her snap maps.
No, I got you.
I'm like, so if I ever get kidnapped, just check my snap maps.
There you go.
But I said, how much can you learn? And the AI said, I can learn quite a bit. What would you like me to learn?
Interesting. But regardless, I think it's a self-contained thing, and that clip you saw the other day of that video I was watching, where it was it was 10 YouTubers were trying to matchmake with a I would say globally notorious AI bot that they've been working on. The back and forths there were hilarious, and at one point a TV fell off the wall and shattered, and she looked over with a look of shock and then talked about it later. And even a couple of the YouTubers, which are, I wouldn't say deep in sophisticated thought, were curious of like how did you perceive that? How did you understand that that's exactly what happened? And one of them asked her, I think it was Vine's King Bach, which was hilarious. But it's just it's an interesting perception, like paradigm shift. But yeah, no. Overall, I feel like there are a lot of true artists that will be shorthanded, but I feel like there's a lot of people that want to be artistic that don't necessarily have the abilities or patience or time that can do more of what they have in their mind's eye.
And we gotta also grow with the times. I remember,
Absolutely.
like, the people that shot film, and then DSLRs came out, or I don't even. There was one in between, but my brain is gone. And those people fighting that, they're like, that's not true art.
You don't got mirrors in yours.
That's yeah. So still growing with the times and using it to get better
There will always
and
be
not.
traditionalists and people that want to push forward to whatever comes next. And
I think we'll
um,
be in that happy medium range somewhere. I just don't know where we land yet.
have an appreciation for both. It's a case by case. but no, I think overall, the horrifying Skynet, they're gonna take us over. That's a possibility, but I'm not too concerned about it. But
You don't think it's the end of times?
not quite yet.
We still have some time.
Yeah. So, what would you consider to be your initial, I don't know if role model is the right word, but your initial entry to the business world?
Well, I mean, I guess if we want to go way back, it was in high school, even.
Mhm.
I took every business class that I could. I was manager of the school store. I took all the computer courses that I could for like Word and Excel and all of that. I just knew that someday I would be in business. And then I got my first serving job at a new bar restaurant that was opening up when I was 20. And I had never served before, but I was really fascinated. And the owner was some like mysterious, I can't even say owner. I think he was quote unquote like the investor. I don't think he was
Makes
supposed
sense.
to be the owner. Um,
No paper trails.
and they talked about this like mysterious war room and where they would figure out all the business stuff. And one day I actually got invited because I can't even remember exactly why I got invited, but they were running behind on their previous meeting that I got to sit in on,
Hmm.
and it was all about like breaking down numbers to the fundamental level, like even
Proper
figuring,
analytics. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, absolutely.
and it was fascinating to me, and I got just like sucked in, and so from there, um, Lex, can I use names like
I mean, yeah,
L?
I can bleep it or not, or it's up to you. Legitimately, it's up to you.
Okay, I don't know.
I mean, I don't think it'll cause problems. First off, second off, I
I
doubt
mean, I
he's ever
really,
gonna get to the point where he's watching these. But
I looked up to him anyways, so I guess it's fine.
yeah,
I don't have anything negative. Um, and but so Lex kind of like took me in under his wing as not knowing any, like I knew nothing, and I worked. I managed the dive for quite some time until I ended up pregnant with my second, and I got put on bed rest really, really early. So I kind of had to take a step back from that because it was like, 12, 16-hour days, multiple days a week, 5, 6 days a week, and I couldn't be on my feet. So that doesn't really
work.
work. um, and then a couple years later, I ran into him and his family when I was working at this other restaurant named Connie's where
We
Julian and I met. Yeah.
met.
And uh, we were just kind of chit chatting and stuff. And maybe a month later, he straight up calls me up and was like, "Hey, I might have like a job position for you. If you want to learn business, I think I can teach you some things."
Mhm.
And um, yeah, I went from knowing absolutely nothing to and just working on like um, Craigslist stuff and eBay stuff and really very minimal bottom of the barrel
Let's say
stuff.
the local product movement.
And from there, I went to like I watched stuff start at the bottom as just an idea to full on like making tons of money and like all these different ways to make money, not even like
Well, and
learning how to
beginning.
think outside the box
Yeah, no,
and
absolutely.
learning how to learn um, was a big thing for me, and it he pushed me really hard on that, and I didn't realize that I had to learn how to learn. I mean, you understand.
Yeah, oh,
You've talked to
can you
me
go on a
about,
little segment there real quick?
yeah.
So that was something that I've picked things up quickly my whole life. But when I joined the Navy, I was going to go IT because I wanted to do computer work and kind of the things that I'm working on now. And when I ended up going nuke, I showed up to the school, and the first class that we had to take was math. I was like, oh, this is going to be beautiful. Like that's one of my favorite subjects. And I rolled into it, and my first test, it was on a 4.0 grading scale, and we needed a 2.8 to pass. And it was only a 10 question test, and I knocked it out of the park. I got all 10 of them correct. I got a 1.6 on the test because they had a very particular 8-step method that you have to use in the nuclear navy to solve for every equation. And I was like, this is dumb. I know more efficient ways to get these answers. And at that point, it hadn't been deep hammered in yet. They had said it a few times where it was like, you need to show your work. I was like, I did show my work. They're like, no, you need to show our work. And so that was an eye opener that of a 4.0 grading scale, I not only failed but failed by almost half of the allowed limit, and that went on to the next close to a year and a half of my life of not just learning rapid fire multiple courses at once, but also relearning how I intake information. And that was a conversation that we had where it was like this is wild because the information intake is vast, but it has to be intook a very specific way. And it was not the greatest 6 years of my life. In fact, it was actually pretty terrible. But I contribute and value a lot of my abilities today, to kind of the way that I learned how to do that then. So I completely understand of having to break down your learning process and be like, this isn't the best way to intake information
Well,
while I'm running.
but I think mine was more along the lines of like, I was told to do something and I was like, I have no idea how to do that.
Mhm.
And it was like, well, figure it out. And so I had to learn how to find the proper information to implement this stuff to make it work the way that I was asked to make it work. So I had to learn how to find the stuff to learn. And I think that was probably the one of the biggest things that I took away from that when I decided to like really jump into the photography world because I knew nothing. I knew I knew a little bit about Photoshop. Actually, I knew quite a bit about Photoshop, but I knew nothing about Lightroom. I knew nothing about how to work an actual camera, um, or lighting
Well,
or
step back on
posing
that.
or huh?
You had some what the best way to say it? Arrangement photography. What would that be?
Product photography.
Product photography
But the I would set up the products and then push a button.
from a tripod or something.
Yeah, and it was already like all the. I never had to change my settings. I never had to change my lighting.
But I remember even at that point, I remember you telling me that it was enjoyable.
It
Like,
was my favorite part. But all part of that, besides like we got to be kind of creative on how we'd set up the products, and then it was really cool to be able to take those images and then bring them into Photoshop and actually
Work with them
make
there.
something out of them. And so, besides the learning how to learn thing, I also got to delve really deep into a bunch of Photoshop classes, um, CSS and HTML classes. I never quite made it to JavaScript, but thankfully,
Web design.
yeah. But I remember so many times just thinking like, I just want to suck my thumb and rock back and forth and sit in the corner because this is like learning a whole new
No,
language.
there's definitely a bunch of times before I joined the Navy where Bert would come home and she's just fried, super overwhelmed, and then it was between this is what I envision. These are the tools that I'm going to give you. You need to make this work, and it was a very unique mentality because obviously I had a lot less interaction than Brittany did, but my takeaways with him were very very interesting. It was
He was
very
extremely knowledgeable though.
no
Like
absolutely
on
he was fantastic at what he did.
pretty much everything. And if he didn't know it, he knew somebody that knew it. Like he could just call up an expert.
Yep.
Like,
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. No. Well connected. His family was fantastic.
oh my gosh.
All of his children, all of his dogs. Just very very tight knit, but very um, very driven for what he wanted, and I think both of us learned from him, definitely.
And I do attribute a lot to where I'm at from the couple years that I spent with him.
Yeah. Trial by fire is a hell of a way to learn. But yeah, no, just definitely a good start, a good learning, a good a good respect for all of that. So going from 6 years in Navy to 2.5 years, 2 and 3/4.
I don't know. You came home in like December 11th. Like, I know the exact date.
It was around 8 p.m.
December 11th, 2020.
Yeah. But coming home, getting a little bit of overlap. So I got my last paycheck and a half from the Navy, overlapped with my first paycheck and a half as a power plant electrician. And I try to do some computer nerd stuff in my free time, and realized that I didn't really have free time. I was tired and cranky
all the time.
Not all the time, but most of the time. Definitely through the week. Definitely, I would say Saturday mornings. But I was also on call once a month, and that whole weekend was just botched. Like, because 24/7, I have the opportunity to be called in at any time. And so we started talking. We started going back and forward. We had some previous back and forwards when it came to efficiency and organizing and employees, and it was a long spanning discussion. And at one point, Brittany was like, hey, how are we gonna figure this out? Like, what are we gonna do? And I was like, we're not where I'm comfortable yet. And she was like, okay, well, let's talk, let's figure it out, let's go one way or the other. And then probably months after that, we talked about it again, and we're like, all right, let's find a monetary amount where if the business can hit that amount, we'll call it. You put in your 2 weeks, we'll go from there. And probably a month and a half after that, we hit that amount.
And Julian's like, nope, still
can't do it. Nice. I need to keep working. I need to keep working. And so I worked for. I'm glad we
didn't at that point.
Yeah,
I'm glad we didn't.
So am I. But and then eventually we hit the point where it's like okay.
I couldn't grow anymore because I couldn't handle any more on my plate with, shooting and editing and emails,
planning and
projects, and because there's a lot of things. I don't just show up and push a button. There's so much more that goes into it, and
absolutely
things were slipping through the cracks, and I either needed Julian to come on and help take a bunch of that off my shoulders so that way I could focus more on just the clients, or I would have to cut back because I couldn't do it all. And I didn't want to give my clients bad experiences in any way, shape, or form. I'd rather cut down to 1 client a week than give 4 clients a bad experience.
Yeah. Comfort in the studio, and the most something that I think is really interesting that I actually really love and respect about you is the every time I use the word professionalism, my take on that has always been very almost friendly and rigid. Mm-hmm. When I think interacting with a professional, it's very 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 much efficient, cut and dry, to the point. I don't have a problem with you, and you're giving me everything that I need, and we move forward. But this is the type of field that I've always appreciated, but never had the ability to appreciate. If that makes sense. Because pre-Navy, I was holding down multiple cook jobs, and then I rolled into construction, and then I rolled into 6 years of Navy, and then I rolled into Navy power plant, and the ideology of every person that comes to us, um, their comfort being like
Number one priority.
utmost importance. Yeah, is something that I didn't fully realize was what I've always wanted. Because I've always been very analytical and very, very linear. And the people I interact with usually are asking for the type of people that I was.
Mm-hmm. So then there's me, and I even like cuss in my email sometimes, and like, hey girl, yeah, you're doing it, you're killing it, like, get your tits out, we got this, like.
But that playful, real aspect is something that I've always been a huge fan of, because I'm the shock value, by no means prejudiced, racist, anything like that. But I say off-color things sometimes, and it's a playful, happy, fun thing. But to people that know me in a professional environment, you would never guess. And obviously now with my long hair and my beard. This hasn't been a thing in close to a decade. Not the beard. I've never had a beard this big. but the hair, it was very, very close cut, very clean shaven professionalism. And unless you were my friend, you wouldn't know that it was
not who you are.
Yeah, not. Well, I mean, it is. It's just a compartmentalized version of myself, the professional side. But I've really appreciated that, the ability to be more myself. And when when Brittany's at the studio and I'm at home crunching numbers and running through everything, that's where my analytical side shines. And the boys are at daycare. I have quiet music on, and it's just 3 screens of numbers. But
my client today, at one point, when we were doing some poses on the bed, and she's like, I'm having so much fun. I did not think I would have fun. And I was like, what do you mean you didn't think you'd have fun? She's like, well, I just wanted to do this for my husband. Our anniversary is coming up. She's like, but this is so cool, and I just feel awesome. And then, like, she almost started crying during her reveal. And we talked a lot about how in 2 years she's lost 50 pounds. She goes to the gym constantly, and she still sees herself as that 50-pound heavier person.
Mm-hmm.
And people comment all the time. They're like, oh my God, you look amazing. And she's like, well, thanks. But
she has internal denial.
And it's like a slight, like, body dysmorphia. She still sees...
I wouldn't say slight. I would say that's body dysmorphia.
So when she was, like, freaking out about herself and those pictures, and it was really awesome. And she kept thanking me and Tiffany, and she hugged us both like twice. And
Tiffany doesn't do hugs.
And she said that it was asked, so she would do it. She doesn't like unexpected hugs.
Yep. But no, that rolls into what I was saying earlier. That respect, that unusual ability to be unprofessional has such a bad connotation to it.
But she just said
you guys aren't unprofessional.
No, we're just hot messes.
And
so people
that's what I'm trying to say. But no, the happiness, the playful, the comfort. But then they sit down and they see their images and they're like, "This is top notch. This is quality." I think that duality is one that I would say the vast majority of photographers in any scope of photography can't capture. Because there's always some semblance of almost rigidity posture. And I feel like
in the photos or like from the photographer?
From the photographer. Even at our wedding. And we knew all the photographers and the videographer. There was still awkward, pointy bits where it was like, okay, like, I get it and what you're trying to capture and what you're trying to deliver to us, but like, this is our wedding. And it was one of those things where at that point, Brittany was skilled to the point that I had just third party caught on enough knowledge and understanding, where I was like, there were certain things that were said where I was like, and it shouldn't be. Not only should it not be detracting from comfort, it should be amplifying it.
Absolutely.
And watching the feedback, and there's been a
Some of
couple
the
times that we've
behind-the-scenes
ran into the
videos.
gals just out in town, and just watching them bubble over how amazing you made them feel is awesome.
It's absolutely why I do what I do.
But no,
Even with all the paperwork.
All right. Let's watch a couple TikToks. I think you'll appreciate this one.
360 cam in her mouth. Oh my god. She just looks like she's running on the top of the world.
So, what's your take on that?
I don't know how I feel. But it did look like she was just this giant thing running on Earth.
Did you see what my title was for that video?
No, I don't have my glasses on.
Oh,
I literally can't read it.
It was AOT.
AOT.
Attack on Titan.
Oh.
Feel kind of accurate?
Yeah.
I've seen a couple other people that do that POV, and they intentionally make it look like that. It is hilarious. But that was one that I all right, one or two.
I don't care.
Perfect.
What is that? What is that?
It's a daddy long leg.
Hey, Daddy.
Ew.
Why does that feel like Brady and Gavin?
Exactly. That's 100% what I thought of.
I was like, what is happening?
I was like, are they gonna get scared? Is he gonna get freak out or throw it?
And this is another thing that I think is interesting is not to get into any sort of sex politics or this, that, or the other, but men have always been crude and playful in ways that don't necessarily make sense. And the day and age that we're living in right now is such a confusing one for young men that it's every time I see something like that, I always wonder like the lead up story, the what the parents believe in, and just so much more than what you initially see. Oh man! All right. Well, speaking of kids.
On today's episode of Why Is Your Toddler Crying? He just wants the spoon.
He just wants a ladle. That's all he wants.
Oh my god, it reminds me of Squish and his tongs.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes is he just gonna climb up on the couch and watch this go? He just straight up walked and cried because he wanted the ladle just to hit his brother.
Just his brother. Yeah. So now we've got
that in my soul.
In a couple of weeks we'll have a 2-year-old. That makes it sound like he's gonna arrive as a 2-year-old. In a couple of weeks, our 1-year-old will turn 2, and we have a 5-year-old, and the interactions between them are very much that feel of just
buttholeness.
Yeah, dude, kids are assholes in the most loving way possible, of course.
Yes.
Oh man. But yeah, no, the kid ones. I think that's going to be a reoccurring thing. In episode 3, I brought up that my wife is the most loving, compassionate person on the planet, but watching kids in pain that aren't legitimately being hurt is
hilarious.
Yeah, but like it's
it's funny.
It's questionable, you know.
They're fine. It makes them tougher. It's okay.
So recently, what course did you start?
It's called Strip Down, and it's a body language and an emotional coach class. It teaches me how to better read and direct body language, and how to direct different facial expressions. I think I'm on week 2.
1.5. Is it technically 2 yet?
Tomorrow will be 2, or tomorrow will be the third thing. So tomorrow's week 3.
Oh wow. Okay.
And I've already noticed a difference. I've got to play with some of the new things that I'm learning on a couple clients this last week, and I'm so excited. I am so excited. I'm learning even more things that I didn't think were possible, or like
When I showed her the studio today, she was giddy.
yes. I really think it's going to just take everything to the next step, and it's going to give even more comfort when I can really direct facial expressions, because
Properly iterate.
one of the biggest complaints that I hear from women is, what if I don't like my face? And part of that is an understanding that we as women don't look at ourselves seductively ever. Like we're not like, hey, to ourselves in the mirror,
Why?
because you're just there getting ready. It's just not a normal thing. So we don't see ourselves the same way that like our partners or our significant others ever see us. So a lot of times when women see themselves like looking at the camera, they're like, no, I want the one of me looking away, because it's weird for them. And
That's what they're accustomed to seeing, is photos of them when they're not looking at it.
well, and not in a sexy way. They never see themselves sexy.
The sly, sultry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's really hard for them, but being able to fully direct those facial expressions, whether it's, even joy or confidence, it doesn't have to be, pleasure and desire, longing. Like there's so many like flirty that I get to learn, and I'm really excited to be able to share that with you guys once I have someone I can share.
And that'll be a segment for the next 4 or 5. Well, it goes for 12 weeks, so I guess probably.
I mean,
up until episode 15, maybe. But no, and that's one of those things that I feel like if someone's coaching you how to move your body and your face in ways that you aren't necessarily accustomed to, and this goes for men as well. There are so many of my friends. There's pictures where I'm like, this is a fantastic picture, and they're like, please don't like post that. And I'm like, why? Like, what are you talking about? And it's one of those people get in their own heads, and they see themselves in a certain light that's not usually fair. And a lot of the times, a coach in one regard or another, maybe a pose where you're like, this is uncomfortable. This is going to look like trash, and you see the picture, and you're like,
actually,
I've never seen my calf and ass like that.
one of the because I go through a spiel at the beginning of every shoot, like right before we start shooting, and one of the things that I say is, if the pose feels awkward, you're probably doing it right. 1, I get a giggle every time, but 2, most of the poses do feel awkward. And we did this really cool one.
Yeah, check out TikTok. I know.
Yeah. So
TikTok.
But yeah, no, so I'm really excited to learn even like the science kind of behind it, because our coach Denise also teaches like certain things. She'll be like, stretch really big and then go into something, because it like some sort of connection is made by doing certain things with our body before we go into other things. And that I'm really excited to like really delve into, also the science behind it, and also the psychology behind it. Because
I'm sorry, please.
I also have to be their I'm not just their hype woman or their coach. I'm also like, we're getting into our feels. Like we have to, in order to portray those
an emotion you have to feel
those types of way.
Absolutely.
So I think it's actually going to even make the experience itself more than it already is.
Elevate that
Not
next
just
level.
the pictures, but the whole experience.
And this is going back to the AI discussion. This is
AI can't do this.
but
I'll leave it.
it was in my hand. I just but the excitement and the growth there. And then what I was gonna do earlier of if somebody coaches you to move your body in a certain way and you see maybe a line of definition or something that you're not accustomed to seeing in yourself and you really like seeing yourself from that angle, the absolute same thing can be done with your face. And how you see yourself seeing joy or coy or flirtatious, if you're being coached from a professional trained standard, it's going to look different. And better or worse is absolutely opinionated, right? But if you're seeing yourself in a different light, and it's a you that you're not accustomed to seeing, that you're trying to portray, I think that's an exciting nuance that a lot of people never have the opportunity to have, because a lot of the questionnaires and a lot of the specials, projects, events that we've gone through, the projects that I've or the questionnaires that I've gone through, a lot of the times gals are like, no, the last time I had pictures taken of like me, not with me in them, but of me, were my senior pictures. And this ranges from, I don't care if you're 19 or if you're 90. There's so many people that never are in the right mindset or place in their life or just mentality to,
Or it's just not their thing.
or it's not their thing. Yeah.
But a lot of people that don't think it's their thing leave feeling
Ecstatic.
like they're gonna come back.
Ecstatic.
Like, even my client today, she's like, I already just want to do this again.
On her way out of the studio.
Yep. And she had only seen one picture from the back of my camera, and she left and went to go work out, and she's like, I'm so hot. It was like, she's like, this is awesome. And just the day before, she called up her brother, who works out a lot too, and she like started crying to him because she's put in all this work and she still thinks that her hips are so big like all this stuff. So it was a huge transformation from yesterday to today, and like her time in the gym. And at this point, it was almost 100% just how she felt from the experience.
Yep.
She hadn't even seen images yet, and she was like, I am hot shit. I'm gonna strut it, and I'm gonna work out extra hard today, and it's just gonna be like a great day.
Yep. And after a shoot, she was most certainly warmed up.
Yeah.
Between the stretches and the stances. Again, like I said with TikTok earlier.
She said that too. She's like, I'm not normally this tired after a workout, but you did. You worked me out.
But it's one of those things. It's not like a laborsome process, but it's again that line of definition or that curvature or whatever it may be that you're not accustomed to seeing in yourself. You're not accustomed to seeing it for a reason. So there's some calisthenic yoga to be had.
Oh, Tiffany said that today. She's like, we're doing some sexy yoga today. From like one of the things that I was having her do.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, no, we all got a kick out of that.
Yep. And action shots are more natural.
Yeah, exactly.
Hold this for the next
Giving up
5
on
minutes and let
pose.
me take pictures from every angle is amateur. Let's do a light workout in lingerie and you'll see what it looks like.
Yeah.
All right, so on to
Shoot and share.
round 6.
No, it's not quite.
Not quite.
Round 5 is almost over. It should be over. It should have been over earlier today, but they had some issues.
All right, so
with
for
our
anybody that
servers.
didn't tune in to episode 3, do you want to give a brief summation?
So the shoot and share competition is one of the biggest free photo competitions in the world. They had people submit images from 39 different countries, and there's just shy of 90,000 pictures that were submitted. I submitted each person is allowed to submit 50 photos.
Your cap.
And you choose what category they go in. Obviously, I did all of mine in boudoir, and you see 4 pictures at a time. You don't know who the photographer is, what they're
No information whatsoever.
You just see 4 pictures.
Then you assume the category because it doesn't tell you the category
Yeah,
either, does it?
tells you
Oh,
the
it does.
category.
Okay.
And so then you pick your favorite out of those 4. Each round, so many pictures are eliminated. We are now at the end of round 5. I don't know.
I think it's 7.
What?
Oh, you said I don't know. I thought you were going
Oh.
to say when they start getting like actually judged
No.
and scoring accolades.
But I was going to say I don't know how many pictures I have in still.
Oh yeah,
Because
you can't.
You can't see any of that, but I have been still getting hearts, and I've seen 3 of mine this round, and my mom has seen 1, and she only knew that it was mine because it was Tiffany. So that's awesome.
Hair and makeup artist. She's a sweetheart.
I'm pretty sure I know which one, so we'll have to put that up here too.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
this
Of
picture
the one
right now.
So that's really cool, and things are getting warmed up. Probably by episode 5, we will be in like the actual placing rounds.
The upper echelons.
So that'll be exciting to see how I do compared to a couple years ago, because the last 2 years they haven't allowed boudoir as a category, so I have not partook. English
That's
is hard.
another thing. In episode 3 we go over some of this stuff. But moving forward between her schooling with what's the gal's name?
Denise,
the owner of the program that's speaking to all the photographers. I was in here doing my own work while she was taking her first class, and she is wonderful. She's super laid back, super casual, super realistic, and super stern. She was cracking jokes in between rapid fire delivery of information and expectations, and talking about how pretty much every assignment she wants your 2 that you're most proud of and 2 that you're least proud of, and she's gonna lay out proper for all 4.
oh yeah, she's gonna critique all of them.
So
she's like, I don't want
forward,
just your best ones, because you can't learn from that. I want the ones that you know that you failed on, like you bombed and you didn't get the expression you were going for.
And we're going to talk about it.
Yeah.
But so moving forward, that there hasn't been an assignment due date yet. But moving forward in future episodes, both the schooling with the applicable images, because we've got model calls that are rolling right now, left and right. There'll be a breakdown of that, whether it's before or after she's graded. We'll see, but we'll go from there. And then shoot and share as well, like the aforementioned what we have left. So and then a little bit of a deeper delve into that. The shoot and share, like Brittany said, there's 90,000 plus photos that were submitted, and each round they generally last around 2 days, but the round doesn't end until every photo has been seen in 4 selections.
So it's been seen 4 times.
Yep. So every time they're shaving off more and more of those. And I'm fairly certain the 7th round is when medals start getting awarded for being in the top 30% and going from there.
30, 20, 10 finalist, and then
it's like the top 25 and the top one. Oh yeah, 125 one. And there's all sorts of prizes and whatnot. But honestly, what it comes down to is having the digital awards showing that your work was loved by the masses. Like,
well, and I just want to see if I want more pictures to make it than last time, and last
time was 2019, correct? Or was that the first
No,
time?
it was 2020.
Okay, so you did 19 and 20.
Yeah, but 19, like I didn't even. I think I made it to like round 3 or 4.
I think you also submitted
10 pictures.
10 pictures.
Yeah, and I wasn't doing boudoir. Like those weren't. I didn't submit any of those ones. And I got 10% in 2020. And it would be really cool to. I want a finalist. I want one finalist picture. And I think that would be. I'd be ecstatic.
No, of course. All right, so last episode we talked about what it's like to have a kid in the Navy and how fortunate we were that I had a good chain of command. I had senior sailors that were looking out, and I had a Divo that I could kiss the man on the lips. I happened to be there for Jace's birth, and then I got his first birthday, and then I got his second birthday. And kids' birthdays are something that sailors, well, military men in general, military people in general, I should say, really are unlucky about. It's a
Birthdays,
common
holidays, all of that.
I mean, everything, yes, but akin to this conversation, specifically children's birthdays are something that it never seems to work out. And I got lucky for Jace, his first 3 years of life. But by the time it was time for Squish to be presented to the world, I was home. And in the last episode, we rolled through the whole Jace thing and the whole epidural head shake. But Squish, Britt was like, I think I'm done with the whole hospital thing.
I hate hospitals.
She's like,
let everybody know that.
I want to be in my clothes and this, that, and the other.
I want to eat. Like,
we prepped so many different meals. We had oven meals and this, that, and the other. I think of all the food that we prepped, I think about a third of it was actually prepared. And then for the next couple days, we just had food.
well, no, because I had labor
fantastic.
food on top of that.
Yeah.
Like food specifically for when I was in labor.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But
Mom actually went out and restocked us because we didn't think it was coming up on the 42 weeks where I wouldn't be allowed to deliver at home. So actually, I went into labor on a Saturday, but we had Friday, we had prepped everything for, it's called a midwife's brew. And it was supposed to be, Saturday was supposed to be like hit the ground running. We were going to do all these crazy things to try and really kick my labor in gear. And I hear it's exhausting. Thankfully, I guess I didn't have to experience that because I woke up Saturday morning and I was spotting at like 7:30 in the morning, and all of a sudden I am wide awake. I'm like, yes,
go time.
baby
Go time.
I woke up Julian and I was like, hey, spotting. That means we're going to have a baby. And so at that point, I'm like panicked because I didn't have my labor snacks. And we have tried to keep labor snacks in this house for 5 weeks because there was like a 5-week span that I could have gone into labor.
Potential. Yeah.
And so Mom picked all that up for us. And Julian made me a big old breakfast and I got to take a bath. And then Mom and April hung out with us for a while. And then they took Jace and me and you went on a walk. And
My father-in-law, bless his heart, is a there's a wonderful human, but there's certain things where he's like, and he's like, childbirth, hard no. He's like, diapers, I don't like that. It's sort of like beautiful. We've got a at the time 3-year-old that is bouncing off the walls, and we just need
him gone.
And Glenn's like, perfect. I'm going to go take care of him somewhere else. Wonderful. Thank you so much.
And Mom had left at this point and she just said to call her maybe even the next day because things were going pretty slow at this point.
Yeah.
And I think it was like 4:00 in the afternoon. We finally laid down. We were going to watch a movie that we really wanted to watch. And it was laying there for maybe 10 minutes. And all of a sudden, we heard this giant pop. And Julian heard it from the opposite couch. Like, and I kind of just like looked at him and I was like, I think my water just broke.
She's all propped up with pillows and blankets.
Because my water had never broke like that.
Yeah.
And so that was a completely new experience for me. And my adrenaline just went. And I was expecting instant pain. Like, so I went in, I went to the bathroom, I called my midwife, and she's like, all right, I'm on my way.
Perfect. Yeah.
And call mom, and she's like, oh my God, I'll be there in 2 minutes. Even though it was still quite a while after that.
Yeah. The next day.
Yeah. And
yeah, not by much, but the next day.
But it was awesome because I took a shower. I got a
showers, robes.
Julian filled up the pool for us, and luckily in the apartment that we're in, we have a continuous hot water heater. So
which you need for a birthing pool like this. That's going to be set up for hours, but you need to be able to get in and out of over and over again because pregnant ladies are volatile.
Well, that's why they normally keep continuous pots of boiling water
rolling. Yeah.
And because you never know, it could have been 2 minutes. It could have been like us. It was technically 17 hours of labor. Like,
technically, yep.
So that was really cool. And I just got to kind of do whatever I wanted to. Mm-hmm. I ate all the food. I chilled in the tub.
Tons of food. Wonderful tub. Company that you want. People not coming in and poking and prodding. Right at the very end, I opened up a bottle of wine and poured a glass of wine for everybody.
Yeah, like you can't do that in the hospital.
No.
And actually, something else that was really, really cool is we had a birth photographer, and she told me maybe a month before I actually gave birth, she's like, the only date you can't go into labor is the 22nd because I have a wedding that day. I went into labor the morning of the 22nd. And she's like, oh my God, I'm going to miss it. And she messaged me when she kept kind of keeping in contact with me throughout the wedding and stuff. And she actually got to leave there 15 minutes early to come here. And she got here just
and she
as
got
things were.
This picture that we have as this metal print on our bathroom wall. And every time I go in there, it's magical.
Yeah. But she showed up just as things were getting intense. And
it was perfect timing.
Yeah, it was. It really was.
Like, perfect timing.
And it was just quiet. And I remember one moment when things were kind of getting a little bit more intense. And I'm just sitting in the pool, and we have purple lights, and Alexa's playing like meditation music, and it was just
relaxing.
Quiet. And I almost fell asleep, like in between contractions. It was like the most calm, peaceful moment of my entire life. We did have a slight hiccup, but I think
so. No, she's underwhelming this in that she's a badass. So at the time, our office right now was our bedroom. And
which was super convenient for labor.
The bed is where we're sitting, and she says, something's wrong, and the midwife's like, what do you mean? She's like, something's wrong. It's like, this isn't my first kid. I know my body. I know that something's off. And she's like, no, she didn't quite blow it off, but it was very much like, what you're going through right now, I feel like is very normal. And
she just thought I was worried, or like the pain was getting to me.
And so at this point, I'm looking back and forward because I'm like, my wife knows her body, and my midwife knows women's bodies, right? So it was like a back and forth, and it was like, if she says something's wrong, like this needs to be pushed, and and so sure enough, she had a inflamed cervical lip that was essentially blocking the canal for Nicholas to be able to be birthed. And she's like, this isn't right. Something is wrong. And so convinced the midwife of like, hey, like we need to check this. We need to at least see like what's the worst that could happen. And sure enough, she worked her magic, and she was like, "Yo, no, there was an inflamed cervical lip that was blocking passage."
And so I was only 7 centimeters dilated. I wasn't, but my body was trying to push, and that's what made it
Problematic and inflamed more. It was a self-propagating problem that was just going to get worse.
It was like, so now don't push with everything that you absolutely have ever.
And I am to this day convinced that if we had been in a hospital and that same problem would have happened, it would have been a C-section.
Well, I wasn't progressing because the umbilical cord was so short.
Yeah.
And so the midwife noticed that, and that wouldn't have been noticed in a hospital. So they would have given me Pitocin. They would have given me,
honestly, like, I think both of those would have led to
a C-section.
Like, it's easier.
Yeah.
Slice her open.
And not progressing.
Tons of drugs.
Yeah, they tack on Pitocin, and then you're not allowed to leave your bed, so your body can't use gravity to help. And but my midwife noticed that I wasn't progressing, and so it's called a mile circuit, where I had to do all these like weird positions for a certain amount of time, and that instantly like got things going.
Yeah. Crab walk. I don't wanna.
But we ended up in the bathroom for a while as.
Oh yeah, so
that part's pretty much a blur for me.
Yeah, I figured that metal print that we showed earlier. I'm shirtless, and that's not normally a husband thing during a birthing, but right before everything got super intense, she was like, "I really want to take a shower," and I was like, "Absolutely, let's go take a shower." And so we were going down the hallway, and as we walked into the bathroom, I'm pulling my shirt off, and then she was like, "Oh, I gotta take a shower."
So I just laid on the bathroom floor for a while.
And for the rest of the night, I didn't even realize. It was like.
And then we finally, midwife was like, "Okay, let's get you back in bed. Let's check you." And she's like, "Okay, well, so you still have a cervical lip." No, that's when we found out we had the cervical lip.
No.
Before that, at 7 centimeters, she said I wasn't fully dilated.
Oh.
And she's like, "Okay, we can either wait for the swelling to go down, or during your next contraction, I can go in and like scoop it."
Oh, okay. That was after the shower. You're absolutely right.
I was like, I cannot wait any longer. And the second
she kind of hem-hawed. So she said, "You want you to do it." Like
the second she did it, it was like the instant relief, and I was like, I can do this.
Like, I saw that on your face, like the redetermination of like, we're on.
Yeah. And
something felt off. And it's been removed.
Yeah.
And
now we're good to go. And
let's have a baby.
I pushed like once or twice in bed, and I was like, no, I think I can still walk to the tub. I want to be in the tub.
Awesome.
I wanted
the water birth was the original ideology behind the pool. She was like, I want to have a water birth.
Yeah.
It was magical.
Yeah. Even the midwife said that at our our meeting afterwards and stuff, asking me how I felt. And she's like, "No, your ability to still know what was going on enough to be like, no, I can still function enough to walk from the bed and climb into the pool, because it's like this tall. I don't know if you can. I mean, it comes up really high.
It was probably 3.5 feet tall. So it was actually a little bit of a struggle to get her in, and not to be gross or anything, but anybody that is familiar with childbirth, we were right about there, and she knew what she wanted, and she was present enough to be like, this is what we need to do, and we're like, absolutely, zero hesitation. And we had our midwife gave us this beautiful full breakdown, all of the things that we need to pick up, and one of them was puppy pads. And so from the bed to the birthing pool, essentially, we were supporting her as much as we could, and I'm trying to make sure there's no back and forth, and that whole night was just incredible.
Yeah,
like start to end.
Anybody that it's just given me so much of a bigger appreciation for birth. Jace was the first time that I actually realized that birth was beautiful, but really being able to, I mean, right after he was born, after like we got the umbilical cord cut and all of that, and got me like cleaned up, and we just got to climb back into our own bed.
All three of us.
Yeah, and just like
full
enjoy
hour.
That moment. And
then after that, they came in and picked him up by his foot, slapped him on the ass, and put him under the heat lamp like a
no, not
big
Jace.
tan.
I was talking about Squish.
Oh, you said Jace.
Oh. But after, yeah.
Because even Jace, we got.
Yeah, but we got an hour. But after, I still had to eat like their nasty hospital food sandwich because it was like, you know,
You have
too
some
late for the
bougie gourmet shit here.
I did. And I had Zupa, and it warmed me up.
Zuppa Toscana. If you're not
Yes.
familiar with the recipe, give it a quick look up. It's like 10 ingredients and so incredible.
Yes, so good. And Mom put it in the Instapot and put it for 10 hours, not 10 minutes.
Oh, I forgot
Remember
about that. Yeah. We didn't even care.
No.
It was like,
No, it's like, I need food. I need something to warm me up. And we all just got to lay there and cuddle. And then the midwife, like everybody left and it was quiet. And I didn't have people coming in and bugging me. I just got to like lay there, enjoy my brand new baby in my own bed, in my own clothes, my own house. It was, everything about it was just
wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful. All right, we got a couple more minutes. Roll out of happy baby talk into
Some TikToks.
some TikToks. Oh shit! Oh, there we go. This is yours.
I know.
This is a shower curtain.
Are you going to explain what's going on? People that are listening have no idea.
Oh yeah, okay. So there's a gal that just took out the dividers in a table and then put what I know isn't a shower curtain around it, but it looks like
a
it.
plastic tablecloth.
Now she's cutting a circle out of the center where the dividers are gone. She just poked her head through it. I'm so confused. Now there's slate. She's making a tot at the shop. Enjoy your treats. I don't even know how I can explain this to people when I have no idea what's going on. Oh, she's gonna scare the fuck out of somebody. Is it her husband? I hope it's her husband. Big flowers to hide the camera. Oh, she has silly string. Okay, she made it look like a table's hole so she could poke her head through the bottom and then put a tin over the top. And it's got a note on top effectively saying like, oh, here's a treat. And I have a feeling someone's about to shit their pants. Oh, I'm exhausted.
Oh, snickerdoodles!
Snickerdoodles! He's so excited. Oh, he's super excited. He's gonna be so disappointed. He's getting milk for his cookies. He hasn't lifted the tin yet that will inevitably brown his undies.
I hope she made him some.
Yeah, right?
Like,
That'd be fucked up if she didn't.
Skin stuff. I need that full fat milk. Give me that full fat milk. Yes,
The
Your
green
Honor.
lid, that's skim milk, isn't it?
I don't know.
I would like to plead guilty to loving milk. Oh!
I like this guy.
Henry.
It's a dog. Dogs with human first names are one of my favorites. I shouldn't even say dogs, animals. Animals in general. I've met two yellow labs in my life that were named Frank, and they were two of my favorite animals of all time. Here we go. It's about to happen. He's all excited. He's ready. He's checking his phone, making sure he gets everything out of the way, so he can grab his snickerdoodles and dip them in his definitely not whole fat milk. There you go.
He fell off the chair.
I question this one.
Go get some good fat milk.
She scares the shit out of him and then taunts him. It's kind of fucked up.
It's so funny.
Alright. Now this, normally I go for the shock of the funny value, but I thought you'd think this one is interesting. Between the interior design and your artistic side of house.
They're using a
Socks.
sock to paint and gold foil. That's cool. I played with some gold foil.
So socks with...
Ooh, oh my gosh, that's so cool.
Doesn't that look awesome?
Yeah.
And those foil, so yeah, for those of you that aren't watching, somebody took a sock and they essentially stroke black and white paint up and down on a wall, and then slapped on the super thin silver and gold like flaky sheets, and then wiped it off, and it looks like a metallic Rorschach mask. It's really cool.
It is really, really cool. Maybe
But,
that gave me some inspiration for the wall behind the tub.
Yeah, that was kind of the idea.
That's cool.
Yeah. Not super recent, but we overall recently overhauled a clawfoot tub and got it into the studio. And where it is, and with the foliage around it, it makes for an awesome shot.
Mm-hmm.
But the wall behind it's not quite fitting. So Brittany's been trying to realize what color or design that she wants. Yeah.
I'll have a dream, or it'll be one night as I'm going to bed, and I'll be like, oh, that's what I want to do.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's the one.
That's how it always works.
All right. Well, I think for this week, this is the end of episode 4. Once again, eventually we want to have a segment where we're more interacting with anybody that's interested in the show, or us personally, or whatever it may be. So if you want to shoot in videos, or if you want to shoot in comments, questions, whatever it may be, the address is boudiebanter@gmail.com. And every time that we are about to start a new episode, we're going to go through that Gmail and see if there's anything interesting. Go from there. Stockpile if need be.
Yeah.
But I think that's about all for this week.
And we will see you next week.
See you next week.